Good afternoon, Pooja.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, very good afternoon, Ravindra sir. Very good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Ram.
Hello.
Turn on my video. Yep, I have. I think we'll start in 3 minutes time,
Yeah,
or maybe a little later. Let people join.
yeah.
Nihali, shall we start or should we wait for more time?
Yes, sir. We will start. Uh,
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the joining. Thank you for joining us, and we will start the SCM Talk Show, episode 3. Ravindra, sir, over to you.
Okay, so I think recording is on, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
So, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of SCM Talk Show, Season 6. Sorry, I have a little cold. This season is focused on AI in supply chain. So, all the three sessions so far has been on AI, and I think we usually have 8 sessions in each season. So next 5 session also you can expect this is going to be on AI in supply chain. And today's topic is titled Connected but Blind. What more data doesn't mean more insight. So that is what the title of today's session is. And again, this topic has been chosen to tap into the extensive experience of our guest speaker, who has spent years building enterprise-wide analytics and connected data capabilities inside a large, complex global supply chain. So as usual, this session will be recorded and made available for free on the KnoWerX mobile app as well as on KnoWerX YouTube channel. We will put everyone in the listen-only mode. So please submit your questions if you have any in the chat box. And depending on how our discussion go today, we will, if we have time at the end, we will try to address as many questions as possible. So before I begin, it's my pleasure to introduce our today's speaker, Pooja Deshpande Raje. So Pooja Deshpande Raje is currently working as lead supply chain strategy and analytics at Johnson Johnson India, a global healthcare company, which I think all of us know, with nearly 13 years of experience across FMCG, medtech, and consumer healthcare. She is a supply chain strategy and transformation leader with extensive experience in integrated business planning, demand and supply planning, procurement, logistics, digital supply chain, analytics, and network optimization across India as well as APAC's markets. At Johnson Johnson, she has led initiatives spanning supply planning, procurement, logistics, digital supply chain transformation, and analytics-led decision making, including a digital supply chain control tower with KPI analytics, projection-based planning, real-time data refreshes, and automation. Previously, before Johnson Johnson, at Hershey's India, she led demand planning and IBP, that is integrated business planning, and drove a Kinaxis implementation for demand planning, enhancing planning visibility and scenario planning capabilities. Her broad experience across strategy, technology, planning, and end-to-end supply chain transformation gives her a strong perspective on building digitally ready and future-focused supply chains. So I think she has a lot of experience, very relevant experience on topics that we are having today. And education-wise, she holds an MBA degree in in operations management from Symbiosis Institute of Business Management, SIBM Pune. She's also a BE in computer engineering from MKSSS Cummins College of Engineering. She has also, in addition to the education, the degrees that she has, completed programs in digital strategy leadership, AI, and business analytics, Six Sigma Belt certification, or other strategy discipline. So I am not going into all details. She has got a lot of awards also, which I am not listing. So it's a long list, for her, what she achieved in a very short amount of time, I would say, compared to, what we have achieved. So welcome, Pooja.
Thank you, Mr. Ravinder. And I just have to say this that whatever I mention here today, all the points are strictly my opinions from my observations, experiences, and academic involvements. So this is nothing to do with the organizations that I've worked with. However, I'll draw a few things from there, but yeah, this is not to correlate directly with any organization.
So thank you, Pooja, so much for accepting our invitation. We're lucky to have you to share your industry and practice-oriented insights with our listeners. So I think thank you so much for accepting.
No, my
So I
pleasure.
think so I think we'll start. We'll start our questions that I think I mean at least I have in mind. I've been a ERP veteran for I don't know 40 years or maybe more than that. I think 82 I started my career. But I think the technology has changed so much. I would say so much that I feel that I am a retired old technology person today, right? So supply chain today are absolutely more connected, much more connected than ever, and I think in future it will get much more connected than what we have today. So ERPs, planning tools, supplier portals, IoT feeds, all talking to each other, and then we are talking about future systems also, cyber
एक और
physical
छोटा
systems.
हेल्प करना यार दिनेश को
So
बोल देना
yet,
ये Xerox
can
ये
I
स्कैन
ask
करवा
everyone
देना
to can I request everyone to
और
put
मुझे
on a mute, please?
भेजने बोल हाँ
Hello, can I ask everyone to put on
Everyone,
mute?
please mute.
ओरिजिन मुझे दोनों चाहिए आई जस्ट एक एग्रीमेंट है इसका निखिल का
Ajay,
Okay.
Ajay, can you put on mute, please?
Please
Okay, thank
mute
you so
yourself.
much. Thank you so much. Right. So many organizations still lack visibility, real visibility. And I was actually giving training to one organization, and the supply chain head happened to be from my alma mater. And he said, if Amazon can show, the tracking, why manufacturing companies cannot show, where my product is, where my order is. So why does being connected not automatically translate into informed? That is my question, Pooja.
So, in my experience, there would be usually two things at play here. The first is the foundation, and second thing I would club into nodes and links as the second point. And I will explain that with examples. So, firstly, the foundations when we talk about, it has to be exhaustively built. For example, data structures, data architecture should be thought of very well in advance. So, for example, if the teams before you have not built them exhaustively, you might be at the receiving end of it, and then you'll have to reinvent the wheel altogether. So, example I can cite is that, for example, the newest and latest thing is that I want to understand the lead time between when I'm putting the stocks in the secondary tracking, that is out of warehouse for the customer, and when the customer is receiving the particular parcel or any stock. So that is called as proof of delivery. So this, for example, field never existed earlier. Now, for example, if you have to build this into your data lake or data structure, it would be a humongous task to change the data connection, change the architect, just to get such field into place. So having those kind of data foundations very clear at the start would be very important. The second is that I talked about is nodes and links. So for example, as ERP, as you mentioned, supplier tools, APS tools, or all are the basically the nodes in the system, overall value chain. And then there are links in between them. So the data is going from ERP to APS, etc. What I have observed is that many times the data is always unidirectional. And it is not that, from APS, the data is going back into the SAP or ERP systems, and not in literal terms they're talking to each other. It's connected definitely, but it is not actually talking to each other. So data streams that are flowing through these nodes are also in different formats. So what I've observed in many peer conversations also is that people still manually take a dump from one system, update it, change the format manually, and then upload it into the other system. What this does is basically, the delays, the errors, the issues that happen because of the wrong input of data, garbage in, garbage out. So all those things happen because of that. And today still the system are at that level, even for the links and nodes. So these two things I feel are at play here.
Right. So that's why we are not able to connect. So can you share a real life example from your career, whichever company that you want to talk about, where an organization had plenty of connected systems and data, but still could not
जरूर in
see
fact I'm going
what
to
actually
tell him
mattered,
very clearly कि
what was missing,
background
and
बता
how
के
was it
बोलूंगा मैं,
fixed.
so that it is also that he is aware कि उसको क्या
Ajay, may I request you
Can
to
we mute
please
him
mute?
from our end?
All right, I think. So I want an example from real life that you are still connected, but uh, still, we couldn't see what actually mattered and what is missing and how was it fixed. Do you have an example in your career?
Yeah. So I will not take name of the company, but I will share the
Sure.
example
Yeah,
definitely.
sure. Yeah.
So during that time, for all the business units within the team, we had 6 different formats of demand handover files, and every format had 100 plus columns. So of course, the data existed, and it existed in huge quantities. But what that did to the team was around basically two things. First is it took a lot of time for each planner to navigate just the columns that were there. So what was happening, there was very value add, the value add work that I wanted people to do was kind of getting reduced, and people were just doing the execution level work, firefighting, and then getting exhausted. The second thing that this different formats and everything did was it was very difficult to get a actual picture at an aggregate level. So for example, if I am a supply chain leader and I ask that what is that one SKU which is driving, impacting me the most in the value terms, my OTIF is less, what is that one SKU? So, all these planners will go into their Excels and, dig out their own data, which will take its own time. So, those kind of issues we have faced. And the missing thing that was there, which we found out, was that there was, first of all, not single format. There was no one-stop shop for a data for us to go and just download something and get everything, we can do a Pareto on it and check, what is the causal 80% Pareto reason for the issue. So that was the missing thing there. And what we did to kind of fix it were around 3 things. We first created a data warehouse to structure the data into the right formats and right linkages. We connected directly to the data lake. That what that did was we could get the real-time refreshes from the data lake. Again, I mean, very important, you are spending 6 hours and we are not getting the name of one SKU. So, the real-time refreshes also were done through the direct connections. And we spent a lot of time on the data architecture, since I wanted to make sure that tomorrow, if there is any new field, if another person comes in my place, or even as a planner, that person wants to do some addition, it can be done with minimum effort, ease, and without breaking the original architecture which we have thought of and put in place. So these are the 3 things we did to kind of uh, get it to a one stop shop reason for data.
I was on mute, and that really helped, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So my question would be, having worked across multiple large complex system landscape, what are the biggest obstacles technical organization to genuinely end-to-end interconnection? It's usually the technology, the data, people, ownership. What it is?
Okay. So I feel that what again, it is all of that plus much more. So first of all, the breakages or the failure modes can happen at multiple places. The first starts with whether you are solving for the right why. So is the problem statement very clear to everyone? Do you have the buy-in from the top management? Sometimes, that also becomes very, very important, that unless you have the right buy-in, you will not have the right stakeholders who take the decisions. The second almost is also I've observed is that there is a lot of delay in adoption. So of course we give trainings, we ask people to do small use cases, we sit with them, but still that person has to go and use that particular tool which is developed for them. So that adoption gets delayed, and that is also one of the major issues of I mean, an obstacle, or I can also say a failure mode. You will say that no, it is not successful. Um, the technology part, however, I do not feel that we lack ever in technology, or I have not seen technology an obstacle, because there are a lot of options available in the market. There are a lot of tweaks and things, a lot of tweaks and basically changes in the system you can do as per your organization. but 100% of the times data has been an obstacle or a delay point for my project. So of course that getting the data right has been always the most important thing that I have done then after getting such experiences.
Yeah, so I've been an ERP implementer too for a long time, and I think the same applies. Even 50 years back, the same problem was there, and even today, I think the same problem is there. It doesn't change. So I even wrote a book on it called How to Eat the Elephant. But that gyan still holds, but and I don't think things have changed. And I'm not sure it will change in the future. I
Yeah.
think that struggle will always be there.
Yeah.
Great, wonderful. So, where does AI genuinely add value on top of connected data? So let's say data are connected. Can you give an example of AI turning raw visibility into a decision or action versus just producing another dashboard? Because a lot of AI cases that we see mostly come from
Hmm.
healthcare, not from supply chain.
Hmm.
So why is that?
Right.
So how AI can add value?
So again, I'll go one step back. So that, for example, AI is, you have built some digital architecture, you have some linkages on logic, and then you add AI on top of that. So AI is that additional layer, which I feel you should only use when you want an additional value. And currently, whatever I have studied across industry, there are two types of AI which are in use. First is make it better. So wherever AI can enhance a process, better it, make it faster and more reliable. And the second part is where AI has reinvented the wheel from scratch. So it has radically changed the way it is working or the output. So example one is you're just bettering a process. So for example, a lot of companies now use point of sale data, which is improved their forecast accuracy, and of course decrease their percentage error. But it is just an improvement, right? I mean, whereas AI automation, or where the cases that I've read, where supply negotiations are now done with AI, Maersk and other many companies are using that nowadays, and that is where uh, the ball. I mean, the game has changed entirely. So those kind of things are happening. But the golden rule of thumb that I always tell my team, or even I practice myself, is your investment in AI should be equally proportional to the output in value terms. So that is something that you keep in mind, and what type of AI you want to use will depend on that.
Sorry, I think people in finance will be very happy to listen to this statement about investment. I think justifying investment is a very difficult thing to always do. And anytime you want to invest in a technology, I think the big question is cost benefit and ROI and whatever, blah, blah.
And
Right?
true so. I mean, very, very rightly so, right?
Yeah. So I have one in a question. A lot of people believe that if you buy a tool, right, an AI tool, some analytics tool, some platform, it will automatically make the whole organization connected, intelligent, and it will start giving a lot of insights. And so what is the reality check? I know the answer, but what is the reality check on this? That only tool won't do the job, right?
Right. So what I always tell is buying a modern platform can make you more connected technically, definitely, but it does not automatically make you more intelligent operationally. A visibility platform, I feel, is an enabler, but the transformation has to be driven by people, the organization, the culture, etc. The reality check, or the first level of caution, what I have followed is, again, as I mentioned, the investment versus output. If investment is necessary for the problem that we are trying to solve, whether going ahead, the problem that you're going to solve is going to get you the outputs that are expected from the organization. uh, you're not doing it just because others are doing, your peers in the industries are doing. So those kind of things you have to be very, very careful of. Another thing is the budget, the timeline, the kind of resources, the scope that you will be, working upon. Because many times I have seen that the budget goes off the roof, the timelines get stretched, the resources that you take will not be rightly, again, redeployed into the right projects, and the scope creeps. Though, I mean, every project has seen that kind of a thing. So Apart from all of that, another thing also I feel is the risk register. That, for example, your use case does not go live on this date. What is that? Is there at risk? Is the revenue at risk? Then it has to be a very, very red priority. You cannot miss that particular timeline. But what is the other risk? What trade-offs you can do? So all those things, you'll have to kind of map it into one particular thing which is discussed at a proper governance forum. You have a weekly meeting or status report, whatever, however the organization works. And after the basic hygienes that are there, I think the leaders then need to get into the actual operations, because after actual ABC's operations are done right, after everything is done in AI, for example, you have a use case, you have a dashboard, you have a pre-alert, that the inventory is increasing, you have a pre-alert saying that, if you don't act right now, the customer is going to miss the revenue, etc. So, however, the action that is required after that what is the action that you're going to take, operationally, that you are going to move inventory, you're going to do something beforehand, you're going to communicate with the customer that, this will get delayed, but I will give you the stocks within 2 to 3 weeks. So those kind of things operationally only will make the organization intelligent, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I have a question that, a lot of organizations have done a lot of automation. Sometimes they are connected, sometimes they are not, sometimes they are very, very fragmented. So in today's scenario, if you to start, connecting all of them, what would be the top priority? Where do we start?
So again, my approach is very simple. I mean, people will think that this is very simple, but this is the basics of life. What, why, who, when. Those questions I try to answer. So I start with first two important questions of what, and why. So what problem you're solving? Is it a temporary executable report that you want for your leadership, or you're actually trying to get the data structure into place for the vision that you have for 5 years down the line for the organization? The In the first point only, the second is why. Why you are solving it. Is it the requirement right now, or again you're envisioning something for tomorrow? So that today versus tomorrow becomes very important in the first section of what and why. The second section is who, because for example, if it is only a supply chain project, and you have the control about it, what to be done, you can activate your own resources. But if the transformation is enterprise wide, then the ownership will have multifolds and it will become more complex. So you will have to put a lot of governance structure around it. And the last two, again, I club into one, which is the how and when. So how you're going to solve it? Again, I mean, you will have a lot of tools like Kinaxis, OMP, O9, hundreds of tools are there in market. But what suits your purpose best? Understand it from, I mean, of course, you will have demo sessions. You can talk to peers. You can see what industry is doing. You read the success stories that have come out of it, so that you can understand what is, fitting your bill. Again, a lot many times what I have seen is that people want to do $1 million project, but they have budget of only 10K. So those things are bound to fail. So you have to get to the confidence level to say no or hold in such situations. And that is the how. And the last part is when. When do you start? What are the milestones? If at all the milestones are getting delayed, what is the else that you can do to either fast track it, add resource, release some budget? What, like, multiple options will be there, right? So what you can do to get the things on the critical path moving forward. And again, before all these three sections and 5 questions, I always see that check your data. Check your data whether it is right, because I have seen, in for example, in Excel columns, for example, in tables, in data lakes also, I've seen garbage values, negative values. So what do you do for that? Do you write rules? Do you create a filter? Do you automate the data checks? So all those things you'll have to check even before you go to these questions.
Quality of data continues to be a challenge everywhere, right? And even if you put a good tool on top of that, it won't work unless the data is correct.
True, very true.
Masters as well as transactions, I think we have a lot of challenges in supply chain.
Yes, true.
So let me ask you the next question I think more data is often assumed to be more insight. But data quality and governance usually decide whether that's true. What are the practical steps that the organization need to get right before the data can be trusted for AI-driven decision? So I think data quality has been a challenge, I think, all the time. I think so. People have tried so many solutions. I think SAP also came with this master data management and so on, but I think still haven't solved the problem. So what would you suggest? What should be done? Do you have a tool to automatically fix the data?
Not yet, of course, in the market. But I have another point of view. So more data doesn't actually mean more insights. Rather, sometimes it becomes a chaos. And what organizations can do even before thinking about AI is build a single source of truth for data. For example, today supply chain team will have its own Excel, finance team will have its own system, commercial team. So you have to have only one system. So make sure that the single source of truth is coming to life before you even think about AI. Again, build this groundwork today so that you can implement the futuristic AI projects. Work together as one team. Even at an enterprise level, people always are siloed by the functions, their individual KPIs, their individual career aspirations. So you have to make sure that whenever you're opting for such a project, all those silos are broken, and everyone has only one aim, towards that particular project. And more time is more time. I mean, for example, if the project is 5 days, 3 days of time has to be spent on just understanding the data, brainstorming on data links, nodes, creating the architecture, etc. Because once your data is right, that design phase is correct, then scaling up will be very, very easy. Then you can get a lot of outputs in very less time. But that particular phase, if you get wrong, you will struggle throughout your throughout all the projects that you will do on that. So yeah, that's my take on data.
So I'm wondering which day it will be when the data will be correct. I think if the data will be collected by automation and fed into the system by automation, I think that time only data will be correct. As long as human beings are there, it's difficult to get accurate data. Really.
No, and even with even such automations also, we have seen that still errors persist, because
Oh, I see.
you will have to keep training, right? I mean, you write rules, of course, definitely, but that check will have to be a human check in between that. For example, whether for example, you are training the tool, right? So the data that you have entered has gone, and if you are assigning maybe +1 point, like the reinforcement training which is there, and if you assign a -1 value, if at all it is a wrong output. But that also has gone wrong at times that I have seen. Again, not my personal experience, but my friends who we were discussing, this has happened. So the learning models also sometimes do
So what
mistakes.
are we going to do about data? I think if nothing is going to work, hopefully something should work in the future. Okay, let's
Fingers.
move on. So beyond technology, how should team be structured and skilled to actually convert connected data into insight and action, which is most important, right? That is why we are investing into automation. So what role does the human in loop still play?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, and this question is very close to my heart, because, I have struggled myself in getting such different talent into the team. It has never been an easy, discussion that I want a different type of skill set in my team. So this is very close to my heart. How I envision is that the new roles on data stewardship and AI ethics will emerge now, like sooner or later. Like, I mean, talent in the team will start to get more complex. By that, what I mean is that functional knowledge is definitely there. For example, supply chain, you need to know, or whatever, like maybe someone is in sales, that person need to know that. But there has to be a technical knowledge also, and that has to now start to coexist. At least the language understanding, at least the the architecture, when a person is talking about, it should be understood by the team. So the skill set will have to also evolve with this on both technical and functional aspects. So this is on data stewardship, or the different types of teams that will happen. The AI ethics part, the hallucinations, biases, we have already seen. Even after training, they still exist. sometimes they are removed, sometimes they enhance, but there has to be a person who is checking all those things. So those kind of roles will have to be evolved. They're similar to the compliance role in my head, but what I also feel is, but then they'll have to be part of every team who is hosting such kind of AI tools, AI use cases, etc. Also, as leaders, the practice the leaders will have to practice growth mindset, because such cross functional or cross talent opportunities you'll have to create so that the team will grow and learn within themselves. I always used to say this to my husband that I would want my oldest team member to learn the newest skill, that will give me the best output, that will be unparalleled at any talent that I can get from outside or even create. So those kind of things we'll have to do.
So what is hallucination? When you said that AI tools, AI tools.
So biases and hallucination has been a lot talked about thing. So hallucinations is that they start giving the wrong outputs in a simple terms. So or biases are something they're trying to favor a particular type of personality. So for example, you chat into chat GPT that give me a executive profile. I create an image for me, and they will always give a white male person as who is working on the PPT. So those kind of things, they are trainable again, but still, I mean, they exist, and it is not completely the trainings have not completely been able to remove them 100%.
And so this, on one hand, you are saying the resources are very difficult to find, and on the other hand, the market thinks that AI will remove all the jobs. So what is your take on that?
I don't think, I mean, yeah, market what right now will do is they'll remove people. But when AI becomes expensive, after all the subsidy is gone, all the people then start to play their own hand who have developed that AI. Then again, the human work will become cheaper, and then they will get rehired, is what I feel. However, the right companies, let's talk about this is for the below average kind of a thing. But the companies who have actually been able to do the AI correctly or implement the AI correctly, I think they will still have the decisions. The main decisions will be in human hands, but the automation, the manual work will get automated through the AI a lot. Like for example, you get two scenarios, at least those level of work can be done by systems, but still I feel for next 5-7 years, human decisions will be human decisions.
Next 5-7 years, and after that, what happens? So as actually, this technology has been, I think, always that question has come up, for so many years that this automation has come. Will I lose my job? That question has been always there, I think.
Right.
So, what do you think, looking in the future, looking the years out, connected intelligent supply chain looks like? So what is going to happen? What is the barrier, in fact, standard between where most organizations are today and that vision? I think a lot of that vision, one of the vision was supply chain management that was created in 1992. Every partner is connected, and everybody can have real-time data visibility, and sometimes automated decisions based on AI tools at every end. So, what is your take on that? When is that will happen?
So the vision I'll talk first. So the future connected intelligent supply chain should be automated, but as I mentioned, with human intervention, the humans will, as I mentioned, move up in the value chain. So manual tasks to managing exceptions, trade-off, strategic decisions they will take. What I feel the biggest barriers are or would be there for future in again, as per what I understand in industry, would be two things. First is organization need to come together without the functional silos, and try to solve the problems for the business, not for supply chain. Again, I mean, what has happened, as functions will always have very counterintuitive KPI. So finance would always want lesser inventory, commercial will always want higher inventory for the service. So however, whenever you're solving a problem, and with AI such a big investment, what the organization need to do is come together and solve the problem for the business. What is the best thing for the business? Maybe it is For some SKUs, you are keeping higher inventory because they have higher GP, the profit margins are higher. And for some, you are keeping lower inventory because, they are not selling, that much faster. So, you're managing it through something, but that, coming together is a big hurdle. And see, speaking it is also very simple. In reality, when you get people together, it's a very difficult task to manage. So that is the first thing I feel. The second thing I feel is that, uh, you know, uh, organizations are building amazing dashboards. Today everyone has something or the other in the digital front or AI front, anything. But what organizations fail to do is that they fail to redesign the decision process. For example, you have made this dashboard, but what is that is changing in your decision making? Is the planner going every day morning and checking the dashboard and then maybe changing his decision, or he's doing or she's doing the same thing again? So the redesigning of decision process also has to happen hand in hand. Otherwise, the transformation will not, benefit as much you are expecting.
Agreed, 100%. So I think in the book I have said that you buy an aeroplane and run like a car. That doesn't work.
Yeah, right.
Do you have names of some tools and technologies which are very popular in the analytics world on one side and AI world on the other side, or there are common tools technologies that are
So tools, I mean, again, a lot of APS tools, for example, can access. They're trying to get the AI inbuilt into them now. So they are also evolving, right? I mean, these product companies are also evolving, getting AI added. I have read about a lot of use cases which I can talk about. So, for example, I really loved the use case on Walmart, which they optimize the driver routing, real time. So, for example, the driver got a feed that instead of going customer 123, go customer 321 because of traffic. So that is a real time AI use case which is there. Of course, a lot of training and everything. I don't know how if every driver is able to adopt to it, but yeah, I mean, that was one of the cases I read. Another case was I think Ocado was one of the organization where they did the automated pick pack in the warehouse, which was also very good. I mean, you are kind of I know the pickers and packers of the world would have lost their job, but if you see the video of it, the automated picking packing has been an amazing success story for them. It is huge invoices. This becomes a very fast track process for them. They could reduce the lead times also by quite a lot. So those kind of use cases are there, uh, definitely.
So can you also talk about areas where these things are getting implemented? I mean, prioritize wise, we hear a lot about forecasting. So I'm wondering if that is the only area where you can apply AI and this analytics and a lot of tools, or there are other areas also which can.
So, in my opinion, forecasting is very easy to implement. See, you get a feed from point of sale, you understand what is the inventory at the distributor, and then, of course, the calculation of your inventory, calculation of the replenishment becomes very easy. But at every node, so plan, make, source, deliver, as we define a supply chain, of course, the reverse, digital, everything, not right now, but the basic nodes of planning, make, source, and deliver, all those will definitely have multiple use cases. So, planning, as you talked about, forecast accuracy would be there. Another would be, can you reduce the planning cycles? Earlier, I know when I was a planner, we used to do the monthly cycles of planning. However, now they have reduced to weekly, and HULs of the world are doing it at a daily level. So that is something that is happening today. Make, if you see a lot of digital twin, I have seen that you are kind of doing scenario planning in the digital twin and understanding that whether what is the sequencing of your SKU and what would be the output of the SKU. So those digital twins I have seen. Simple automations or AI or digitalizations are basically predictive maintenance, planned maintenance. Before, for example, hours, these many hours are completed, now let's break for the maintenance and then we continue. So the output remains very good. It doesn't go down. So those kind of things I've seen in Make. Sourcing, one of the use cases I have read is again, as I mentioned, the Maersk has done negotiations with AI. So that is one thing. Sourcing, I have not much exposure to because I have not much worked in sourcing. However, in deliver, again, crazy amount of use cases are there, from within the warehousing, whether you have pick packs, whether you have the right flow, for picking, packing, warehouse designing, the logistics that you have, the secondary logistics. Do you have the dynamic trucking? Like there are use cases that I've read, where the load, the dock, where the truck gets, attached to unload and load the stocks. That also is managed pretty much at real time according to the value that is there in the truck. The real time revenue that you will get from the stock that is there in the truck. So those kind of use cases are, used everywhere now.
Great, thank you. So one question I have is, if you have to start from scratch completely, let's say, building organization's data, visibility strategy completely from zero, what would you prioritize first and what would you deliberately avoid?
Understood. So the first thing, start with the context. What is it? What is that? The framework? What is the foundation? What is the data? Check your data first. You are building something, but you do not have that data only coming in your system, and then you have to build another tool on top of your existing tool just to get that use case done. So that will, delay your project. So the context and clarity of the foundation becomes the first part. What I would deliberately avoid is getting to show quick results. A lot of people, leaders I have seen, no, I have got this person, I want to see the results in 3 months. But, any digital transformation, if you ask me, will always go through a trough. So it will go down first, and then of course, then it will, reap the results that you want. So that down first has to be accepted by the team. Of course, the managers will have to explain that to the leadership teams. And, so be patient about that. Once you're creating architecture, it's going to take time before you get to a level where you can use that data. So yeah, I think stop running behind the quick outputs is what I will try to avoid.
But Pooja, the problem is the salespeople of these technologies, they will, to just get an order, they will say, a lot of promises, big things that will be implemented in 3 months and you will get the output, and they will show nice dashboards. And, so I think the management will get an impression that we are spending so much money, and I think we will get everything in 3 months, 4 months. So I think there is a big challenge as far as that is concerned to break that impression created by a salesperson of technology, vendors. So they promise very, very heavily, over promise, and that becomes a challenge for people who are implementing.
Right. Agreed. And what I have also, what has helped me is that I usually talk to peers. For example, I want to implement XYZ technology. I'll take references from them only. And I'll talk to a person who I know, maybe, through some links, and just understand that whether, that really took 3 months or 5 months, So those things, just get the real, if person has that real experience, try to tap that.
Yeah, it's not so easy the way the, technology vendors project. It's not that easy.
True.
Yeah. So what is your advice to listeners who feel like they are drowning in data, but still flying blind? So when it comes to decisions that actually matter, so what would you say?
So a couple of things what I have done, even before the digitalization happened, I always used to make, a reusable template, simple in Excel. Every day, for example, I'm taking a dump, I'll not reinvent the wheel. Something that can be reused is something I have always developed. For the people who are on the transition path of AI, digitalization, etc., I think the structure of data is very, very important. Small thing as, the type of data, whether it was numeric or decimal, that also will have a lot of effect in the final outcome of revenue. So for example, whether you see maybe 230 million or 234.55 million, that also makes a lot of difference later on, as it accumulates into the bigger things later. And so that is the first advice. And the second is that always go back to basics. And whether you're trying to achieve maybe one inventory's trend, one SKU's trend, or whether you want a trend at a warehouse level. So these two use cases you can both, be visualized in a dashboard in one button click. but try to understand what is that you are trying to derive from it. What is the decision that you are trying to derive from it, and then start to build. The decision redesigning of the process. I think these are a couple of things that the person has to keep in mind, because as the flow goes, we get so much absorbed in the transformation of digital transformation AI, that these main things sometimes we are sidetracked. So yeah.
So I think one question I have for all audiences, the people, is because you have gained a lot of experience inside in this field, and this is the hot field, if I would say. So what is your advice to listeners? Where can they start if they feel if they have the FOMO kind of feeling? Where should they start in AI analytics? Where should they start? What should they do?
So just read first. I mean, for example, if there is a lot of literary, things are there. I have done a course, as you also mentioned. So maybe understand a course, understand how the MLL is getting trained, or you can just read, watch videos. I mean, I think a lot of things are available which are free. So yeah, I mean, for example, if you are looking for a APS kind of a solution, or you want to understand, how demand forecasting can be improved. Of course, you have Amazons of the world. So just type, that what Amazon has done to better their forecast, and you will get so much of data around it. And then you will, have that knowledge to understand what you want to do next. If you want to implement something, then you approach the technology partners. If you want to do something else, then you can get onto that path. But a lot of literary work is available freely with Google.
Can you recommend some courses if you can?
Courses, yeah, I can recommend maybe later. Right now, I mean, I have done one with ISB, which was Digital Strategic Leadership, but they told us how. I mean, of course, we did a lot of prompting. We also did a lot of exercises on how we trained the model. It was very much fun. But if you really want to get into the Python, like the coding and everything, then it's a different kind of course. So that's why, I mean, if there is a specific requirement, I can search and let you know later also.
Thank you so much. So if you have to start your career from scratch again, what would you do? And what would you not do?
So I think my career started only after I did my MBA. So I'm not counting my experience before MBA. So I will definitely do supply chain management again. I am very passionate about supply chain. What I will redo maybe is so define the career path that I would want to take. So for example, I knew that I wanted to go into planning, but still there was a stint in warehousing which I did. I spent a quite good amount of time in warehousing, which was around totally, if you see, it's 3 years are around that. So a lot of people have seen, have built their careers that no, I want this much of breadth and this much of depth. I have not planned that way, though luckily the planning has been my depth or the T structure career. But yeah, I think that I would have done a bit better.
So you put a very difficult question on listeners' mind. People are very clear about what they want to earn rather than what they want to do. So that is easier to, I think, plan. And career planning is a little difficult. It's not that easy.
And it also is the function of opportunities that are there, right, in front of you.
Yes, absolutely. It also depends on opportunities, the job that.
Yeah, and your personal, I mean, you'll always have to balance your personal and professional life. So, that also is very important.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Pooja. I really loved this discussion. There are some questions I want you to answer those questions. So Snehali, can you take over and ask the questions which
Yes.
listeners have put into chat box?
Yes, sir. Yes. Firstly, thank you so much, Pooja ma'am and Ravindra sir, for discussing on such amazing topic. And there are few questions from the audience, and I'm going to take that one by one. The first question is from Mr. Nitesh Shinde. His question is for both the panelists. Should we automate the process like demand planning just because it can be automated? How we can best strike the balance between automation and manual judgment, taking and adjusting the numbers for the next execution steps? Over to you, ma'am.
Okay, so I'll maybe go first. So automate as in end-to-end automate, definitely you should do, Nitesh. I mean, if you have the opportunity, I know a few companies who are the leaders in FMCG have done that very well. As I mentioned, the planning cycle has reduced to 1 day for them. However, the interventions which you mentioned, so for example, the external environments, like right now the Middle East crisis had happened, those are the kind of interventions you would require to put your mind around. Or lot many times system will give you an uplift. For example, it is a summer season and you are in FMCG, I'm assuming you are in FMCG, and then you are selling more of ice creams, right? But the system is telling you that the ice cream sale will go from 100 to 300. So your judgment also has to be there in between to pass the system as a okay or no go, whatever, that whether the 300 makes sense, maybe it will be 400. The summer is prolonged, that you have read or you have understood that it's going to be a long summer, so you either increase it, or you understand that no, rains are going to come early, so you reduce it. So the systems will give you outputs, but your judgment on those kind of things and understanding the realities of the business, and then either allow it or not allow it, are the human interventions, which are very, very important.
Thank you, Pooja, and I agree with you. So I think this we usually teach in or forecasting in CPIM, CSCP. No matter how automated the tool is, no matter how automated, right? Okay, you always have to look at the output of that. Okay, critically analyze, and of course, the lot of information, as you rightly said about the Iran crisis or Ukraine crisis or whatever, those inputs are not there in the system. They don't have in the past data. So you will have to build in. So I think manual judgment is not going to go away, no matter how automated tools are. It is always going to remain. It will never
Agreed.
become so automated that you don't have to intervene at all.
Agreed.
So I think that data is starting point. Yes, Nehali, go for next question.
Yes, sir. The second question is from Ram Dheeraj Yadav, and his question is how AI can leverage sourcing, especially in context if your SCM is catering to niche business and very limited right vendors are available in your geography and even globally up to certain extent. Over to you, ma'am.
So I have not done much work in sourcing, but I'll try to answer. So what I understand is, again, from my academic involvements is, the total cost of ownership is something that you look at. And a lot of AI tools are available to get you. For example, you are right now dealing and negotiating on a particular cost, but the tool will compare that cost with your rejection rate. What is the quality that you are providing? And, then they'll give you the supplier the score. Another thing is, what is your OTIF versus risk management? What is your sustainability versus your innovation? So those kind of things are scored for the suppliers through the AI tools, and they give you a total cost of ownership as comparison against the industry experts. You also mentioned that there are limited players in the market. In that case, again, I think maybe your hands might be tied, but at least you can have that partnership connect with the sourcing vendor, that I see, this is the improvement area, can we work on this together? So those things you can do in such kind of scenarios, Ram.
Okay, ma'am. The third question is from Mr. Mahesh. Any use case using agentic AI to automate decisions to pilot with which have given small quick gains in your experience? Yeah, that's his
Genetic
question.
AI, I mean, I'll pass this question because I don't have much exposure. I mean, honestly, not even much. Like, I know what it is, but I have not seen any proper use case of it. A successful, I
All
would
right.
say, use case.
Okay. The next question is from Mr. Ganesh Karekar. His question is, could you explain how the digital twin was built, the technology platform used, and how it is being utilized in operations? Also, does the solution incorporate any AI, ML capabilities, such as predictive analytics, scenario simulation, or automated recommendations in it. Yeah.
Right. So I don't remember the technology. I can get it for you. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. But what we had done was the digital twin would kind of it was a dashboard where I would understand what is the inventory in which warehouse, what are the production levels that are happening in all the plants, and I could generate scenarios. For example, there are three SKUs which are, for example, are going to get stock out in the next week. So I run all three in all three plants and I see, where I can service the customer better. You can also put a constraint there where there are inputs. For example, imagine on a dashboard, you can put inputs like, there is a constraint on certain raw material. So, those kind of constraints also can be fed manually into the tool, and then the digital twin will give you what is the best scenario. Again, they can recommend A, B, C and say that scenario B is best, but sometimes I have also gone with scenario C because I feel that that made more sense to me. So again, I mean, there also human interventions we have done. And basically it is a very good visualization of what is, you can see, that this plant has this much inventory, this is the forecast aggregated at a depot level versus the production levels versus, the stock that you have as DOS, days of hand. So those things, if you see visually, it becomes very easy for you to understand which node is, going to help you the best. So technology, I'll tell you, it was an inbuilt tool, but I can get you the names of it.
Yeah, that was the last question from the listeners. And yeah, thank you so once again. Thank you so much for this amazing insights and for this session. And I'm sure the learners are taking a lot back from these sessions. And thank you to the audience for joining us and having a great weekend.
Thank you, Pooja. Thoroughly enjoyed your session. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Yes,
having
thank you,
me.
ma'am.
Thank
And
you.
thank you to all the participants also for joining in. And I think this will be available, this will be recorded and available. So you can even later on view it on YouTube channel and our app. Thank you so much. And everyone have a nice
Yes,
weekend, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
thank you, ma'am.